Hello and welcome back to the Do Brand You channel here. And today we've got an In Conversation with Justin Collard, who's part of our In Conversation with podcast. I'm so excited. I met Justin on a ConvertKit networking sort of workspace. And he started telling me a little bit about what he does. And I was really inspired to find out more about it and how he is actually doing his best version of himself. So Justin is a certified life coach. He's an entrepreneur. He's a tech nerd, which really interests me. And he's a champion of young adults. So welcome, Justin.
Hey, Lorraine, thank you so much for having me on. It's such an honor to get to be in conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you. And what I love about the internet today is with all the tech that we have. So Justin's in Texas and I'm down on the other side of the earth in the other hemisphere in New Zealand, but we can still have this great conversation that we get to share with you all. So, yeah, one of the things that intrigued me about Justin was when I was asking him on the ConvertKit call about himself, and he said that he had committed career suicide. And I thought, okay, I got to find out more. So now I get to find out more. What happened, Justin? What did you do?
Yeah, so I really didn't know the path I was going to go through in life whenever I was a senior in high school. Thank goodness I had a wonderful mentor and teacher named Cindy Ward who kind of helped guide me in the right direction. And I ended up becoming a teacher. I taught fifth grade for 7 years. I love that age group. I tell everybody fifth grade's the perfect age to teach because they know when they're going to throw up most of the time. They can zip up their own pants, and you can be sarcastic and they don't cry every time. So I really enjoyed working with fifth graders and getting to know just a little bit about their personalities. And over time, we all went through COVID and everything, and I actually got the most unique opportunity presented to me to become an intern assistant principal. And through that, I was able to get my master's degree and everything. And they moved me to the high school of all places. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I've never worked with older kids. Like I've only ever worked with 10-year-olds. So that was kind of a big deal for me. Excuse me. And I went there. I ended up loving working with teenagers. I know I'm strange in more way than one, but I loved working at the high school age. And I quickly began to excel in the position. I was really learning from a great principal mentor, Anthony Smedley of mine, on how to do well. And I was on track to keep going. Our district was building new schools and everything. And then after 3 years of doing that, I really realized that like I was achieving well, right? Like I was able to do the job. I was learning well. I was building good rapport with the teachers that I led, but I wasn't fulfilled by that. Right. And so it really started to take a toll on me mentally, emotionally, with my family. We had to have some really tough conversations, and I decided to resign after 3 years. One of the people that I worked with, who was supposed to be one of my mentors during this all, not my principal, someone else, told me, well, if you leave now, you're just committing career suicide. After I had shared like all of the emotional trauma that I've gone through and all these things. And that's really just hung with me. At first, I was just so furious because I'm like, why would somebody say that to me and things like that?
Yeah.
But then I realized that probably committing career suicide has been one of the biggest blessings of my entire life. And I really got the chance to reinvent myself. And that has been such a neat experience, an unexpected experience, and has really led me to figure out how do I bridge those things, achievement and fulfillment together, and get to what success actually is.
Wow, that's really cool. We do share something in common, and that is that love for teenagers. My past life, I was a secondary school math teacher, so had the opportunity to teach in a few different countries. And yeah, like I really resonate with you. Mine happened in 2010, where this pull came to leave the profession and to just move out on my own. And I have this conversation with other people because it kind of all sits in this realm of doing the best version of yourself, that there's something in you that you just wanted to follow your talents and your skills and create that work life and that craft that you call about reinventing yourself. As you look back on that, can you kind of glean any kind of inspiration or advice to people that have perhaps just stepped off the main track of life and they are following their skills and talents and wanting to achieve something that way?
Yeah, I think the first thing I would tell you is if you've made that shift, like kudos. Like it's not an easy shift to make. Living here in the States, it's very counterculture to step away from a career ladder that you've been working on and that you've been going up and climbing. And so many people will think that you're crazy for it. But at the end of the day, like you really have to dig deep into your soul and decide, what does life need to look like for you to be successful? Forever, I thought it was money, title, position, and power. And I quickly realized that I could access those things. I could do the things I needed to do to get there, but it still left me so empty. And I know that a lot of people who go through these big career changes, you're making a huge financial sacrifice, a huge lifestyle sacrifice in a lot of cases. And I just want to encourage you, like, when the realities of life and money and everything get hard, use that as your fuel to work harder towards the life you want for yourself. Because, I'm not even anywhere near where, like, I hope to be one day when it comes to profit. But my bucket is so full with the work that I get to do now compared to work that I felt like I had to do before. That I'll take the struggle over the security and finances.
Yeah, that's really interesting how you've really shifted that whole concept of what success means. And it is, we have so much opportunity today to move off into kind of niches that haven't really been described perhaps as careers or jobs in a sense of what we find ourselves doing, but being able to create that life that we want. And it's so inspiring that you've done that. How did you overcome that voice that everybody has in their head that I always say, as you begin to push the boundaries of what you think you can do? That voice just says, oh, you shouldn't be there. You can't do it. What are you doing? How did you deal with that? And how do you deal with it today?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Lorraine. The push that got me to leave my position as an educator actually came from my wife.
Wow.
I love her to the moon and back. She's my biggest fan, my biggest supporter. She always has been, always will be. So blessed to have her in my life. But we had to have a hard conversation. And I still remember that time when she said, Justin, I love you. I always will. But I'm going to support you if you think becoming a principal and continuing down this path of education is what your calling is and what you're meant to do and what gives you purpose. But I really don't like the person you're becoming while you do it.
Wow. There's honesty.
We have that respect for each other and that honesty for each other where we can have those conversations. And that's when I realized, like, the achievement that I'd set before myself really didn't matter if it was going to cost me my family. I've got 2 young kids. I have a 7-year-old daughter. I have a 3-year-old son. Again, a wonderful supporting wife. And so for me, it was like, I have to leave, but I didn't really know what to do. And so there wasn't a ton of imposter syndrome right away because it was more of like, okay,
fear,
but I'm an educator. That's my identity. Like, where am I going with this?
Yeah. So that goes into another question of identity, because we often in our culture today, we find our identity in our career, in our job. And what was it like for you to navigate that? Who am I and what's your identity for yourself, in the first instance as you left, but also in how you began to show up and explain who you are and what you do to other people? Can you take us kind of through that journey?
Yeah, I love that question. And honestly, that's probably something that I really have landed on more recently, right? And so when I left education, it was like kind of taking a piece of my soul out. I had always identified as an educator. School was a good, safe place for me. I had a wonderful upbringing. My parents are lovely people, but like I knew school. I knew how to navigate school. I knew what to expect at school. And when I first became a teacher, yes, it was to teach kids, but I had already been working with students and children in different situations where they didn't have the same upbringing that I did. And I felt like part of what I could do is step in and be a positive male role model, and just show them, that there are things to your future. And so walking away from that, Lorraine, was so hard. Like almost like I was giving up on them for like selfish reasons. And part of that is honestly, I think a lie that like educators tell themselves. Yeah. Because I now know that wasn't true. I was doing what's best for me, because if I would have stayed, I would have helped no one. And I would have lost my family. Yeah. And so that did take some healing. I definitely believe in reflection. Writing really helps me. I was talking to a friend just before this podcast, and she said that writing is like soul work for her. And I really resonate with that. Like my writing is not something I necessarily share with others other than the content that I produce. But when I do deep writing, like I'm not making that for a book. Like that's for me.
Yeah. That's so cool. I really resonate with the fact that, let's see, one second.
Sorry about that.
It's a little bit, I'll start again. Have you ever used Riverside before?
No, but I was super excited to see that you had it because I've signed up for a free trial.
That's cool. No, so what's happening is it's recording on your end, on your computer. It's recording on mine. So what the end result will be amazing because it'll be uploaded. So don't worry about that, but I'll just do this. And that lets me know to just edit this part out. And we'll start again here. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I really like that whole concept of that, you have your supportive wife, and I really relate to that too. I wonder those people listening, if they have somebody that really supports them as well. When I gave up or decided to leave education in 2010, I'm living here in New Zealand, and I got home and I made the decision, and my last day came and I went back to where I live, then I lived near a ski resort, and I used to go skiing on the weekends, and I used to take the truck and drive down the hill when I used to go to work and turn right during the weekdays to get to the school that I was teaching. And on the weekends, I'd turn left and take the kids up to skiing. And I got home and it was Monday morning. And I just, that whole sense of that loss of identity just hit me. It's like, who am I and what do I do now? And it was like really sudden. So, I really relate to that. And I remember talking to my husband. I said, what am I going to do? And he said, you're going to do what you always do. You're going to get up, right? You're going to get in the truck and you're going to go to the end of the road, but this time you're going to turn left and you're just going to ski. And that's all he just like let me have like time off, and I just skied and then I just, I kind of find that kind of thing. And I used to ski and then I used to write, and then I wrote, that's how I ended up writing my first book was all through that, was just releasing all of that stuff. So I really resonate with that concept. I want to get into what you're doing now. And so what are you'd never left that love for teenagers and helping them out. So what's changed? Why did you think you could go down a different path working with young people?
Yeah. So whenever I decided to leave and start my own business, I knew that I needed some help with that. And so I hired a life coach. I really hadn't heard of life coaching before, but through reading different books and things, I stumbled across it. And it was just a transformational experience of having someone who is like basically there to brainstorm with you and honestly kick your butt into moving forward and getting over things. Right. Yeah. I'm not really like, I had some things I needed to deal with, but I didn't need a therapist at that time. I needed somebody to help me move out of education and into something new. Yeah. And so I founded my company, Thrive Success Services. I specialize in academic success coaching for high school students, young adults, and young adults who recently graduated college and are entering their first career. And it has been a really, really cool experience. And so I've just been building my little client base up and doing things like that. But actually, since you and I met, I began volunteering at a local organization called True to Life Ministries. They caught wind of the coaching that I was doing, and I'm actually able to help the same demographic that I wanted to teach, students who are underprivileged, who come from broken homes, who maybe got stuck and almost didn't graduate. And we have 11 of them right now in an internship, an 8-week internship over the summer. And our goal is to get 100% of them enrolled into some sort of college certification program or college itself, and to get them hired for a living wage job. And it's been so cool to do those things.
Yeah, that's so amazing. That's I've got this. I have a community, and we have a book club in it, the Do Book Club, and I'm going to be facilitating the book in July about the 8 forms of wealth, and they talk about just that. Why don't you describe how can you describe the wealth of the fulfillment that you get, which is more than financial wealth?
Lorraine, I'm sorry you cut out there. Can we repeat that question?
Yeah. So I just was I'll start again.
You're fine.
In the Do community, we have a Do Book Club, and I'm facilitating the book in July, and it's called The 8 Forms of Wealth. And that is, as you were talking, I was thinking, you've left financial wealth, but you're getting wealth by these other things. How can you describe to someone that there's more than just financial wealth to what you do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think just the act of service itself and the fulfillment that you get from knowing that you're genuinely helping another human being is the payment that I'm after right now. I truly believe that if I continue to serve, the money will come. I'm not really concerned about that. I've already lived a life where we've done, really well financially. And for anybody out there who's just chasing the dollar, I can tell you, you can have all the money in the world and still have all the sorrows as well. Yeah. It's just a true fact. But my mental health is another form of wealth. The happiness that I feel and the calm that I feel. Security with my family, knowing that my wife is proud of and encouraging what I'm doing, while also I'm meeting her needs and taking care of her and my family. I mean, Lorraine, even my daughter, over and over again, she's decided that she wants to be a life coach, not because she knows what it is necessarily. This is what I do, but because she knows that when Dad was a principal, he wasn't really who she wanted her daddy to be. Yeah. But now that he's a life coach, she likes that version of her dad.
Just lost you there, but
can you hear me?
You back? That's
can you hear
okay.
Me?
Yeah, it'll be fine once the recording comes out. Just do this again. Yep. Let's see. Oh, yeah, 1 sec here. Yeah, that's it. So just talking about what you are doing, and you say things like the money will come. Where do you see yourself, or where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years? If you could just, open the gates to what's possible, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So I'm a person of faith. And so I kind of feel like part of this is a mission that I've been given. And I can't shake this thought out of my head, Lorraine. I've tried, I've even said this is crazy. Why would you speak it to an existence? But I really want my goal, and I don't think it's going to happen in 5 years, but I definitely want to be well on my way, whatever it looks like. I want to help 1 million teenagers and young adults find their purpose and their passion and live the life that they're designed to live.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I want to help them skip some of the steps that some of us have had to go through, the learning path. I want to give them a shortcut. And I know that it's going to be dependent on them, but I at least want to know that I've done everything that I can to equip them with the skills and the knowledge that they need in order to live that life. Yeah,
I love that. One of my favorite quotes that I often think about is to invest in our children, for they are our future. And you really just kind of hold that in everything that you're doing, which is really, really special. So you talk about, the million people, and I don't know if this would really fit in. I'm just going to try this question, but how do you say you're a tech nerd and all of that. How do you see this opening up of our world really that's happened in the last 10 or 15 years for us to have this conversation even? How do you see technology kind of integrating into how you're going to reach the million?
Yeah, so I'm dabbling in a bunch of different things. Sometimes being a tech nerd is a curse because you don't focus on one thing and do it well. Um, but leveraging things like YouTube and Shorts and Reels and TikTok and all those things, like if you can get in with the right group, you can grow pretty quickly, and it can make that million look like a laughing stock. Honestly,
Yep.
if you hit something viral, which going viral is not my goal. I don't want to go wide. I want to go deep with the people that I work with. And so, you leveraging those technologies, but even more important to me, Lorraine, is the fact that my dedication to myself and to any future teen and family that I work with is that I want to provide accessible content. Like, if you're getting coached one-on-one by even myself, it's going to cost a lot of money because it's a one-on-one time situation and you've got to be able to live in order to coach. But that doesn't mean that I can't give away all my information that I would give away in a coaching session away in a free YouTube video either. And I'm perfectly fine doing that.
Yeah.
Because I totally believe that like success is for all. Success it shouldn't matter what your background is. It shouldn't be gatekept. Success is something that every student should have access to if that's something that they want to chase after.
Yeah, I really love that you've hit on that. I haven't really had this conversation with other people, but I 100% believe it as well. I do coaching myself, and yet I am growing my YouTube channel and do give away a lot for free. It's, as we grow our own businesses, we do serve. And as if we serve in how we run our business, then that is, kind of giving things away. But interestingly enough, it actually allows you to build the credibility to do the more exclusive one type things, which is amazing. Yeah. So I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. I'm interested in you seeing the real needs that teenagers and young people have today. What kind of insights can you share with us for parents, for people who work with young people, for people that know young people? Maybe they don't have kids themselves, but they've got nieces and nephews or kids in their neighborhood. Can you just share some insights that you have of what their pain points are and what we can do to help that?
Yeah, I would love to. My experience working with teenagers and young adults of all ages from all backgrounds are really the first thing that people need to understand is they put on a front. They're going to put on a tough guy front. They're going to put on a tough girl front. They're going to act like they don't care. They're going to tell you they don't care. They're going to not want to answer your questions. But deep down inside, it really does matter to them. Yeah. Life matters to them. Future matters to them. And they want to have those conversations. They just don't know how. They don't know how to have it without seeming vulnerable or without worrying about disappointing their parents with a question that they have. And so in that realm, the tip I always tell parents is when you're working with teens, you have to be accessible to them. If you sit them down and say, hey, we need to talk about something, their red flags are going to go up and they're immediately going to like internalize and shut down on you because they don't want to have the conversation on their terms. And sometimes that means at 11:58 p.m., they're going to come in your room and be like, hey, I really need to talk about this. Yeah. If you turn them away when they come to you, you're going to close many future doors. Yeah. So car time is a great time to talk. Just sitting around waiting in lines is a great time to talk. Anytime when there's some dead space. But also they're kind of like a timid little animal in the wild. You can't just come at them with all these life questions. You have to kind of warm them up to them as well.
Yeah. No, I really relate to that in that, I had two daughters. They're now in their 20s. And I used to always take the opportunity when we were driving. I would just sit and talk to them when they're teenagers. And I swear I would tell you 100% they weren't listening. But recently I had a conversation with my now 25-year-old, and she was saying, it was so weird. It's happened a few times, but I find myself doing things or thinking things. And I'm like, why am I thinking that? And why am I doing that? And she said, I realize it was those things that you used to tell me. It's like they do go into their brain and they do sink in and yeah. So, I'll shift a little bit again. We talk about the importance of mentoring or being there, showing up for our young people. Who's shown up in your life and how did that have an impact on you?
Oh, yeah. So the other thing that I would say just about mentoring in general, before I get into my story, is your teen's going to listen to someone.
Yep.
That's not you. They're going to find someone that's not you to listen to. And one of the best things that you can do for them is to place someone in their life that you trust to say the same things that you're going to tell them, but they're going to believe them because they didn't come out of the parent's mouth. I've already had it happen with several people that I've coached this summer. I'll do a checkup call with their parent, and they're like, I've told them the exact same thing, but when it comes out of Justin's mouth, magically, it's like the best thing they've ever heard in their life. I'm like, listen, it's just a teenage phenomenon. I'm sorry, but just be glad that they're listening, right?
Yeah.
But for me, Lorraine, like I said, I had a great mentor in high school. Her name is Cindy Ward. I'm still blessed to be connected with her. She's local in the community. She's an absolute legend of a person. But I got accepted to a program in high school called PALS, which stands for Peer Assistance and Leadership. And Miss Ward was a master at helping us figure out how to lead that group on our own as teenagers. And we were taught two things. We were taught how to mentor others. So I mentored elementary school students when I was a high school student. And we were taught how to mediate our peers' situations. I mean, one time I sat in a mediation with the entire cheerleading team. And so they could choose to come and do a mediation instead of getting like a discipline referral if that's something they wanted to do.
Wow.
And just her compassion, her guidance, her mixture of love but firmness on moving you forward in your future really resonated with me. And I think that's a big thing that I carry into what I do today. And honestly, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have become a teacher because she helped me with a career plan. My parents expected me to go to college. Neither one of them had been to college themselves.
Wow.
And they were going to be like, hey, like you're going, we'll figure it out. I waited way too late to really get that ball rolling. I coach people on how to not do that now. But with her, like at least I knew what I was going to do. And then she's just continued to be a great friend and cheerleader, even in the things that I'm doing now.
Oh, that's so fantastic. I love that story that you shared about how the young people listen to other people. And I think maybe it is also my teaching background that gave me the same insight that you had, that I need to place people around my kids, So if there are any parents listening, I think your advice is 100%. I remember when my kids were young, I mean, they would say, well, why are they Irish dancing and why are they swimming and playing the piano? It's because those were the three best people I wanted them. Those coaches or instructors were the best in the neighborhood, and I wanted them around them. And that's when they were young. And the same was when my daughter was at secondary school. She played the clarinet, but she wasn't really that interested in it. But her clarinet teacher, she would always tell me about how they would sit and have these conversations. And so it was like, I happily paid for clarinet lessons. And, he was just that mentor. It's like really, I really highly, believe that that's the thing, is to get people around your kids that can mentor. And I love what you said, that even in high school that you were kind of being taught to mentor others. What an amazing skill,
Yeah, I really think that is really the spark that made me who I am. I was such impressionable age. And I found great joy in that. And the whole career suicide, looking back and losing my identity as an educator, the reflection that I did, Lorraine, was, who am I without my career? At first, I felt like I was nobody, right? Because it's all I'd ever known. But really, when I look at everything that has mattered to me in any position that I've ever done, in any school I've ever worked in any job even that I've ever worked in, my favorite part was helping people realize their potential and helping them become the person that they needed to be. And so I now know that I can do that in any job. It doesn't matter if I'm an accountant or a life coach or if I went back into education. If I'm doing that, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to feel fulfilled. And that's the purpose that I live for. Not the title, not the money, not, whatever I thought goes with all of that. It's helping others become who I know they can be.
Yeah. Well, gosh, Justin, I can't believe the time's already come to a close here, but it's been actually really inspiring to listen to you. I know the people that will be listening will also be inspired by that. And yeah, just, wishing you all the best of luck on reaching, these young people and really changing their lives and changing our world as they domino effect that into who they are. I would like to finish with, I always ask the guests what their favorite quote is or their favorite book, and you have one from Brian Tracy.
Yes, Brian Tracy. I love everything about him. I feel like he's like my kick you in the butt kind of like motivator whenever I read his books. I felt like he's like yelling at me the whole time. So yeah, my quote is, and Lorraine, I'm so sorry, I forgot it.
Oh, I can read it. Oh, you're not the only one. It's you are acting intelligently when you are doing something that moves you toward one of the goals you have set up for yourself. You are acting unintelligently whenever you do anything that is not moving you toward something you want. And why is that so kind of touch you?
I think because I realized that I was acting unintelligently whenever I was chasing that title of principal and moving forward. It seemed intelligent to everybody else, but for who I really am, it wasn't. And so I feel like I've gained intelligence in myself by taking this risk, by taking this bold step, by making some of these sacrifices that I've had to make in my personal life to move forward. Some people would say that's not intelligent, but I actually think it was probably the smartest move that I've ever made in my life.
I love that. Well, thank you, Justin, so much. And again, I know people will be inspired by this. I know there's people listening. I know they listen to the channel that are on the verge or going through what you've described, and we're so open to share with us here. So thank you so much, and all the best of luck to what you do. And I will be leaving the link to Justin in the show notes. So definitely get in touch with him or follow what he's doing, because it'll be something to look forward to, I'm sure.
Lorraine, it was an absolute pleasure to get to chat with you. Thank you so much.